Good afternoon and welcome to the fourth of the Greenbelt Wild at Home family sessions. This afternoon we've got an absolute treat for you. One of the Greenbelt Festival favourites, a man who gets an immense crowd whenever he performs at the festival, and lots of you I'm sure will see him. In a moment we have the amazing Professor Pumpernickel, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there he is! Good afternoon. How are you, Mr. Pumpernickel?
Guten Tag, Jem. I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Excellent. Lovely to see you. Professor, you've been to Greenbelt a few times now.
I've been there for so many times, it feels like my second home. I'm missing my family.
Oh, what do you think of Greenbelt, Professor? Where does it rank in your festivals?
Out of 0 to 10 on the scale of 1 to 10, it's about 11.
Hey, I'm glad to hear it, Dieter. Now, I've got to just say before I hand over to your good self, remind me where you're coming from this afternoon, Professor?
I'm coming from all the way from planet Earth.
Oh, what a treat. What a treat.
Yes, I've been here quite a while.
Excellent. Just a couple of things before I hand over to you, Professor. You have got, I understand, a PayPal page, just so that people know. All of the contributors who are doing sessions for Greenbelt are doing it to support the festival. They're not getting a fee. They're just doing it because they want to support the festival. There is always a PayPal address or similar. There's no obligation. You don't have to. But lots of performers are struggling at the moment because lots of events are cancelled. It's fantastic that they're supporting Greenbelt like so. But if you want to chip into what we call the virtual hat, then look for the PayPal address below. Don't forget that the previous sessions are still online. You can go back and watch those and do the same thing. So, Professor, I hope you're there.
I am.
I'm going to hand over to you, sir. Just so you know, do not try this at home, because I have a feeling that we might be in for some exciting stuff. So, Professor, over to you.
Dankeschön, Jemster. Thank you so much. Well, welcome everybody out there in the wide open world. I've not been out of my laboratory for about 8 weeks, but it's beautiful to be here. I want to start off with one of my favorite experiments. It's called the Genie in the bottle. Here it is. It's an old Victorian trick used as a parlor trick and also to trick people out of money in the seance halls of the Victorian period. So here I have a simple stone bottle, and inside of the stone bottle, I have something quite dangerous. In fact, it's so dangerous, I'm going to need 3 pairs of goggles for this. Right, what is inside of the bottle is hydrogen peroxide, the same stuff mums like to put on their hair. I have a little packet here of some crystals. It's called the catalyst, and the crystals are called potassium permanganate. Exactly what Jem said, do not try this at home. So I'm about to drop in the small packet of crystals. Something should erupt from the bottle. Pay close attention here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Give it a little swirl around. Is anything happening? Holy heck! The genie in the bottle, he's loose. There's no putting him back. What? There we go. In fact, I've just improved the quality of air I'm breathing. I've unleashed a whole cloud of oxygen gas. Now, let me put this away for one moment, because I'm about to show you my second most favorite chemical reaction. I like to talk about chemistry quite a lot, in case you haven't noticed. So, all the people who haven't made it to Greenbelt before, this is one I like to take there. It's 2 glasses of what looks like water. I like to call it my wee-wee into poo-poo experiment. But in fact, it's not wee or poo. It's just 2 glasses of colorless liquids. I'm going to mix them together. And you guys out there, if I've got my chemicals correct, it should take 16 seconds to complete the reaction. It's called the iodine clock, and it's called the iodine clock for a reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, Oh, 13 seconds it took. A little bit quicker that time. It is a reversible reaction. As I take my next chemical ingredient and I pour it in. Here we go. Pay close attention. Isn't that just beautiful? It doesn't always work, of course. You see, us scientists, we don't believe in miracles. We rely on them. Right, so let's put that to one side. Because I know why you're here. I know why you're really here. You're here to see the explosions, aren't you? Well, it just so happens that Professor Pumpernickel likes to blow stuff up. And this is definitely one you should not try at home, despite the fact that you may have all the relative ingredients. This is a little story. And if you like stories, then listen up carefully, because this is a true story. It's a story which unfortunately ended in disaster for the people in the story. But it's a message in the story that may save your life one day. So do pay close attention. I have a bag here, and this bag contains a substance, a powder, a yellow dust. And if I take a spoon of it out, you might be able to see it a little closer there. You see that? It's a spoon of a yellow powder which is so deadly, so dangerous, that in 1981, this powder was responsible for exploding an entire factory. It brought it to the ground in a huge ball of fire and smoldering rubble. The people inside of the factory, unfortunately, did not escape. Some of them lost their lives. It is so deadly, this powder, that the only people in your school who have the correct legal documentation to handle this are the dinner ladies. Because this, my friends, is the humble custard powder. Yes, I know what you're thinking. What is this guy on? Custard powder? Explosion? Well, pay close attention. What I'm about to do is take a spoon of the custard powder and I'm going to set it on fire. Reach for my blowtorch over here. Here it is, my trusty blowtorch. Now, you'll be glad you're all sitting there safely behind your computer screens, because I'm about to risk my life here for you guys. Let's set the custard powder on fire. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Yes, not much of an explosion, was it? Well, we're missing one vital ingredient here. We have our fuel, we have some heat, but we don't have a lot of something else. And that something else is oxygen. You see, there's not a lot of oxygen sat on my spoon. And fuels require oxygen to combust. But we do have a lot of oxygen floating around in the workshop. Yes, see that cloud of custard powder there, floating around, mixing with all that beautiful oxygen that fire likes so much. So, this time, don't mind my goggles, this time we'll take another spoon of the custard powder. This time we're going to add a funnel and a tube. So if I can just insert the funnel into the tube, and then with a little jiggery pokery, we're going to insert the custard powder 1 spoon at a time. So let's try 1 spoon. Let's see how we go with this. Take out the funnel. If I take a deep breath and if I blow down the tube, the custard powder will fly out of the other end. Let's add a flame on the end of that. When the custard powder flies out, it will mix with all the oxygen. I'm going to disappear out of the screen. Keep your eyes over there in the center. I'm going to blow the custard powder into the middle of the room. In 3, 2, 1. Ah, well, a little explosion, I guess. Well, seeing as though we're in the safety of our own homes, watching behind the computer screen, let's try 3 spoons. Hey, heck no. Let's try 5. All right. Bear with me here. So, 5 spoons of the custard powder. 1. My goodness gracious. This could be the last time I get to see my laboratory. It could end up in a big smoldering ruin. And 2. 3. Oh my goodness, I'm getting really nervous about this. This is definitely one you should not try home. 4 and 5. All right, let's try this out, people. 5 spoons of the custard powder. Incidentally, just letting you into a little secret here. Outside of the door, the barn doors there, we've got some builders in the yard. And I alerted them to this show was happening. And I've got a feeling they've got their ears to the door. So let's hope they don't come in when I do this. Here we go. In 3. In 2. In 1. Here we go. Let's raise the temperature somewhat. Well, please do not try that at home, people. It is a true story. Yes, the custard powder factory in this country, it was the Bird's Eye custard powder factory, actually. The Bird's custard powder factory did suffer a huge explosion owing to the dust of the powder floating around in the factory, which is now coating my entire computer. So let's put this safely away. Incidentally, that's a lot of energy released there. The same amount of energy you have to process in your bodies. So next time you eat a bowl of custard, just imagine how much energy was in only 5 spoons when you saw the Professor Pumpernickel show. But moving on now a little bit, I would like to show you a wonderful demonstration involving sound and visualizing sound. You see, recently I did a little video for Eureka in Halifax, and I thought it was so amazing, I would show you guys as well. Sound is all around. I'm going to grab myself a drum here, bear with me a second. Sound is all around. But what is sound? I mean, you can hear it, but you can't see it. Now, if I hit the drum skin here, you can hear it vibrating. I can hold my hand on the top to stop it vibrating. That's cool. But I can't see the actual sound that's happening. You see, the sound is the vibration of stuff. And stuff is made of molecules, and these molecules vibrate. And through the air, sound will travel at 767 miles per hour. Now, how fast do you think sound might travel if you go into the ocean? Well, some people think it travels slower because the liquid is more viscous and thick and goopy than the air. Well, in actual fact, those molecules in the sea that make the sea are closer together. That's why it's a liquid. And so the sound travels faster. It can travel up to 3,700 miles per hour. And if you go deeper into the ocean when the pressure increases, the sound travels faster. Send the sound waves through rock, and you can be reaching speeds of 10,000 miles per hour. But if you go higher and higher and higher up the atmosphere, out into space, you won't hear anything because there's not a lot of molecules to vibrate. Now, to show you what I mean, I have here a simple aluminium rod. And in the center, I'm going to hold it. This type of sound wave is called a compression wave. Compression wave, squeezing things together, squeezing the air molecules together, and then they will bounce off and hit more air molecules. Let me just show you what I mean. Let's take some violinist's rosin here. This is resin from a pine tree, and I'm going to sprinkle some of it onto my fingers and thumbs. There we go. It smells beautiful. Ah, beautiful. Resin from the pine tree, used by violinists and string players in orchestras. So we need to get some friction going here. That's the point of using the rosin. The friction needs to be building up on the fingers, because now I'm going to hold it in the center and then grip tightly, and let's see if we can get a compression wave happening down the rod. Yes. There we go, the singing rod. Wow, that's pretty loud. So, I'm setting up a series of vibrations where the fingers... Excuse me, hands are a little sweaty here in the workshop. Yes. There we go. You can probably just about hear that. The sound is coming from the end where the molecules are vibrating backwards and forwards. A better example of this is something I'm going to show you that you can build at home for yourselves. It's the Star Wars Laser Blaster sound effects gadget. It's over here. Just let me grab it. And all it consists of is a slinky spring. I've got it attached way over there. And I've got the other end attached to a simple plastic bowl. Now, just use a little bit of hot glue. Get your parents to help you. You don't have to use a bowl. You can use a bucket. You can even use a cone-shaped object will work the best to project the sound. And what we're going to do with the slinky is we're going to hit it from the back so that we send a compression wave up the spring. And that compression wave will bounce back again, and then back again, and back again. And see if you can recognize the sound effect. Here we go. So this is the Star Wars Laser Blaster, and it was the exact effect used by the sound effects crew when they made the original Star Wars movies. They used a spring, and they microphoned it up, and they would hit it with a stick. And this is the sound they would get. And then, when you watch the sound waves travel up and down the spring, you can actually hear them at the same time. And when you watch the Star Wars movie, you will recognize the very same sound. How about that? So let's put this away. Because now we're going to talk about transverse waves. You see, sound moves in two different ways. Compression, we've already looked at that, and transverse. Now here I have a huge aluminium rod, much bigger than the last one. It's over 6 feet tall. I need to hold it in the exact positions. I'm going to bring up my knee and hit the center of the bar, holding it in the exact proportions. And you should see a wave form, a wave like an ocean, like on the ocean, yes? That's a transverse wave. All right, here we go. There. Doesn't that look beautiful? Hey? That's a solid aluminium rod, vibrating just like a guitar string or a piano string. Look at that. Isn't that marvelous? If I hold it up to my ear, I can hear a deep bass sound. Absolutely marvelous. Transverse waves and compression waves. Now, moving on to a different subject, let's talk about light. You see, I have a little fascination with Victorian stuff. And I have here with me a real genuine artifact all the way from the Victorian period. Over 150 years old, this device is called the Kodak Magnesium Ribbon Holder. I found this on an antiques store online, and there's a little wheel here, and this little wooden wheel would extend or retract a coil of magnesium ribbon. And believe it or not, the first magnesium ribbon to ever be produced in the world for photographic reasons was in Manchester, the Manchester Magnesium Company. There's a little pictogram on the back showing a hand holding the magnesium ribbon holder. And they would use this to generate enough light so that they could take a photograph. So let's have a look at the magnesium burning. Where is my blowtorch? There it is. Again, don't try this at home, people. Professor Pumpernickel does this, so you don't have to. Magnesium ribbon, burning at over 2,000 degrees. It's burning metal, white hot. Lots of smoke as well. Notice the smoke, yes, because that's an important fact. We're going to talk about getting around this smoky problem, because smoke, when taking a photograph, is not that great. You don't want smoke in the room when you're taking a photograph. Anyway, the photographic process evolved so that we could take quicker pictures. And so a quicker, brighter flash was required. So what I've done now is I've taken the magnesium ribbon and I've powdered it down to a fine powder. And I've put it in my Victorian photographic flash gun. Let me just grab that. Here it is. You might recognize the shape of it from old black and white movies. The Victorians would take their photographic flash pan and sprinkle the powder along, the magnesium powder. And when they were ready to take the photograph, they would press the button and a huge bright flash and a huge puff of smoke. Again, that's smoke, not too great. But let's see what it looks like. Here we go. Get ready. Everybody say cheese. This is a real Victorian photographic flash. Here we go. Try not to burn my beautiful nylon hair. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Yep, that's a lot of smoke. Wow, and a lot of sparks. Something you don't really want to be happening indoors. Now, an attempt to get around all this smoke. Back in 1852, all the way in Bavaria, there was a man called Dr. Johannes von Liebig, and he was developing something that could be used for photographs without all the nasty smoke. And let me just show you what that involves. Here it is. It's my largest test tube. And in the bottom of the test tube, you can see there is a reservoir of water. Now, this reservoir of water is important because what we're about to do is we're about to mix 2 ingredients. The first one is a gas, and this gas is called nitrous oxide. So the nitrous oxide is still used today. It's used in medicine, in the dentists, and in the hospitals. Some of you mums out there might have had the gas and air experience once or twice, depending on how many children you've had, of course. And children, you may have experienced it having a tooth out or similar. It's only used for medicinal purposes. You must never use it for recreational purposes, not like the Victorians used to. They called this laughing gas, and they would have laughing gas parties. And today we know that's very, very dangerous. But anyway, we're going to bubble this stuff down into the tube. You can already see the process is time-consuming and extremely fiddly. Here we go. Let's bubble that gas in. There we go, bubbling the nitrous oxide in there. So now we have a test tube full of the nitrous oxide gas. Next we have to put in our second ingredient, and this is perhaps the most dangerous ingredient I actually use in my shows. It's slightly poisonous, it's quite toxic, and it smells like my granddad's underpants. It's called carbon disulfide. So let me just take this very small amount of carbon disulfide. Only 2 milliliters is required. That goes into the tube. And now I'm about to mix it together. So I'll slip on my glove here. Need to protect my hands. Slip on the glove. And we're going to start to mix the 2 ingredients together. Already you can tell this is much more a lengthy process than this simple magnesium flash powder. It's taken me such a long time, you've probably fallen asleep already, and it cost a heck of a lot of money, even to me today, so it must have cost a lot of money back there in the Victorian times. Now I just need to mix the 2 ingredients together. That's what the water there is for, and after 10 or 20 seconds it should be ready to ignite. Yes, once again, I have to set fire to something. So let's just be thankful you're all sat at home behind the computer screen. Nice and safe. Okay, I hope this translates well over the internet, because it'd be a shame if it didn't. So I'm about to take my blowtorch. I'm going to set fire to the top, and a huge flame emitting ultraviolet light. So a big blue flame, ultraviolet light in the ultraviolet spectrum, will rush down the tube at the speed of sound, creating a huge barking sound. It's called the barking dog experiment normally, but I like to call it the underpants changing device. Let's have a look. I'll stand a little back. Here we go. The barking dog. In 3, 2, 1, say cheese. Woo! Isn't that amazing? The barking dog. Loudest barking dog I've ever heard. Certainly keep the burglars away, that's for sure. Now, back in the old days, this device here was an astounding spectacle and no nasty smoke. A beautiful emission of ultraviolet light, which the chemicals in the photographic process required. But it was not popular. The magnesium was much, much cheaper, and it was almost instantaneous to use. But the third reason is the resulting expressions on the family portraits after using this device were not quite as desirable as those after using the magnesium. A few shocked expressions, I can tell you. And if you go on Google and you Google barking dog photographs, real Victorian ones, you will see the surprise in their eyes. Okay, so I'm not sure how much we've gone so far. Is that 20 minutes or so? I don't know. I've got a few more things to show you if you'd like to see them. Let me just put the barking dog away. Right. I thought I would also show you. I like to show people how to make things at home. If you've seen my show before, you will have seen my smoke ring blaster. Here it is. This is my small smoke ring blaster. I'm going to show you how to make it. It's very simple. It's a take on a toy called the Azuka, and all it is a barrel of mango chutney. So grab yourselves a barrel of mango chutney, eat the entire contents in a full day. Actually, I just picked this up from the Indian restaurant down the road. They kindly gave it to me. And all I've done is I cut a hole in the bottom after washing the bucket out, and I've cut the top off so that I could replace the top with a bag, this flexible bag. And I've made myself a little handle with some foam squares just glued together so that I can pull it out and then push it in. I'm going to fill it with smoke and we'll see what happens. Here we go. Let's fill this with some smoke.
I'm trying to send this, but it's not going.
All right. You guys okay at home there? Right. Here we go. The smoking blaster. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Now you can make these. I can barely see myself. You can make these out of any object. All it needs to be is hollow. You can use a square cardboard box. You can start off with an empty paper cup and work your way up. I've got a huge one here with a 20-gallon drum. I might try that also. In fact, the largest one of these made in the whole world was a Japanese company of people, and their smoke ring is over 100 feet in diameter. And they tried this out in a huge aircraft hangar, and they broke the world record. So there is no limit to the size, either small or large. So let's fill the big one up, and hopefully after this, let's put that in there. So I'd like to thank everybody at home for watching my show today. It's a funny old world we're living in at the moment, isn't it? Well, hopefully soon we will be reunited and we can see each other in the flesh in a field somewhere having a big party, a big dance with smiles on our faces, and we can have a wonderful, wonderful time. Those days will return, people, I can guarantee you. So here's the big smoke ring blaster. I have to stand far away for this. Here we go, get ready. Well, I hope it worked as well on Zoom as it does in real life. I can barely see anything in the workshop at the moment, so I may need to let the smoke clear a little. Jem, how's it going so far? Do you think it's going okay?
I would say, Dieter, that to Professor Pumpernickel, I would say that was truly amazing.
I love you too.
I felt, Professor, that I could actually smell some of those things from here.
Well, you know me too well.
You still got all your fingers there?
Oh, yes. Still got all my fingers.
Excellent. And I've got to tell you, I think my favourite is the Star Wars sound.
Oh, yes. And it was the actual sound effect. The actual device was the actual sound, if you research it. was the inspiration for the actual sound effect. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Professor Pumpernickel. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. You were due to come to the festival, of course, with some of your colleagues this year. You were sort of doing an afternoon takeover, weren't you, with some Victorian entertainment and your experiments and so on. Maybe we can get you back in 2021 to do exactly that, and we can see you in the flesh.
You can absolutely count on that, Jem, yes.
Marvellous. Excellent. Thank you very much, Professor Pumpernickel. Are you doing anything else online? Can we find you anywhere else online or websites, anything like that?
Yes, I'm doing a series of videos for an organisation called Eureka, the National Children's Museum, which is based in Halifax, and they're due to open another complex in Liverpool some point in the future. So I and my two friends, Gary Bridgens and Ian Douglas, the storyteller, my friends who are coming with me to Greenbelt this year, they are also doing some videos there too. So you can catch us at Eureka at Home on Facebook and on Eureka websites. Each week we do a video and I show you how to do some science experiments at home.
Excellent. So we know where to find you. Just going to say it one more time. If you want to chip in to support Dieter, Professor Pumpernickel, then if you look in the comments below, you should see a PayPal address. As I say, all the contributors have given their time for Greenbelt this year in difficult times, but everyone's working together to make festivals happen during this strange time so that they come back as strong as possible next year. Professor Pumpernickel, thank you once again. That's the end of this little run. There are going to be more family activities online from Greenbelt. There might be slightly different spacing. They might come at different times. Keep an eye out. Keep following the hashtag Wild at Home. And as we go between now and the festival, you will see a lot more online content. And obviously there will be some of that aimed at families. Thomas Trilby signing off, saying thank you very much for watching and all the best. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you.